Let's go back to the game, because especially the end of the match, the reason I think part of the reason we love this game is it was just so exciting. I mean, as a neutral, things went back and forth. Liverpool totally in the ascendancy at the end, and in a minute I'm going to ask you what Arsenal could have done differently. Yeah. But just to describe this, we had that ridiculous Ramsdale save where I was watching on television. When I see the shot go, at first I think it's going to go out. And then I see it's curving.
Bending back in.
It's bending back, even after taking the deflection.
Yeah.
And I think to myself, Ramsdale thought it was going out. He's missed a split second. And I told myself, he's not getting to this.
Yeah.
He is not getting to this ball. And he does. He goes out. O monstro. And he gets to the ball.
Yeah. Do you know, you see some keepers pull off saves for the cameras. We call them camera saves. Just to make it look good, because you know it's a camera save. That weren't. That was full stretch. It wasn't even the palm of the hand. It was the fingertips. So it tells you the agility of Ramsdale. It tells you the biomechanics of it, seeing Salah's shot originally, then changing your mind, because then you've got to take into fact the deflection off Gabriel. You've got to adjust your stride, adjust your jump, go full stretch, right-handed fingertip save as it's gone in the top corner, cop end. Incredible save.
It was incredible. He made some other ones too, the one off of Darwin Nunez. At the very, very end, this other sort of incredible situation happens where there's the ball in the box and Konate on the goal line. It's weird to me, because the question is,
I know exactly what he's thinking.
You don't know what body part to go with, right?
Anyone else does. He doesn't then. Because you got two options. It's a right foot tap in or a diving header. That's your two options.
And you think he got stuck without knowing?
He got stuck without knowing. And then what he's thinking there, he's thinking, right, what's my biggest body part? What can I get the best connection?
A chest.
Chest. So he's thinking chest from 2 yards. I've got to score. But then Ramsdale comes across and gets in his way.
Does he also go chest because he's kind of...
Centre forward would never go chest. Midfield player would never go chest. Ever. If you had a Rolodex of options, you go right foot finish, diving header, you go through all the options. The last thing you would ever turn to as a striker or a midfield player is the chest.
I'm assuming
a defender would.
I'm assuming he didn't go right foot. He didn't go side foot.
He's thinking biggest body part. He's thinking connection.
No, sure. Yeah. But the reason for that is because where he is, he's moving, he's kind of half in the air, he's in an uncoordinated
And how many
position.
times in his career would Konate have been in that situation? Probably once?
No, probably not often. But what I'm saying is I don't think he can sort his feet out confidently enough.
So therefore
that he can get the side foot in a way, because he'll look stupid, then he balloons it or whatever.
Fine. So if that's correct, then you go
and the header.
Then you go into.
I don't think he felt he had the right momentum to turn his body to the header.
If you can go for chest, you can go for head. So if your body's going down to chest it, you can head.
His head is smaller than his chest.
No,
maybe.
I know.
And that brings you back to your argument.
But no, I'm talking what a centre forward would do, because muscle memory and everything about what you've done in your whole lifetime is right foot finish. But then if you can't sort your feet, then you go Rolodex, you go diving header.
Right.
He's panicked and gone, biggest part of my body, chest. Let's just hit the target. From there, I score. And he doesn't.
Almost immediately afterwards, there's this Arsenal counterattack. Where Martinelli, and this is not a knock on Martinelli, who I thought was exceptional in the game. It's a 3-on-2. Now, the Italian in me says, wait a minute. First of all, I have to say this. You're Liverpool. If you draw this game 2-2, I mean, I know you're chasing top four and everything, but given the way you played earlier, given the way you finished this game, you can't get 0 points at home and throw this game away. How do you get caught, first of all?
They're caught in the emotion, Liverpool. Liverpool are caught in the emotion of
winning
winning the game.
You need to play with control.
Not in the last minute of the game, not at Anfield. Never played with any control against Barcelona. That was pure emotion.
Well, when they were 3-0 down. Yeah, I got
the second leg, when they'd done them at Anfield, there was no control about Liverpool's play. It was chaos. It was emotion. That's what got them over the line. That's what got them the win. So they're going towards the cop end, and they're thinking emotion. We've got them. We've had them on the rack for 40 minutes.
That bugged me on the counter. You give up a goal like that, it kills you. It kills you emotionally.
Well, it would have happened.
Right, but that's what should have happened. If not for the fact that...
But then Darwin Nunez could have scored and Canales could have scored.
That's fine, but this is the very end. I mean, to me, the Martinelli pass, that was totally Liverpool getting out of jail.
I don't think, Gab, going back to your point, I don't think if Liverpool had got 0 points or 1 point, that helps them towards top 4. It was the 3 points that was going to get them to top 4. So they had to go all in for the win. If Liverpool lose that game in that scenario 3-2, they're not going to get top 4. If Liverpool draw 2-2 like they did, they ain't going to get top 4. So 3 had to be the number.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair point mathematically. I just think emotionally to concede a goal like that.
Oh, it would have been devastating. It would have been crushing.
I don't know. I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just being too conservative here. Martinelli, as it happens, man's been running like a maniac. Yeah. In the end, just is the pass more difficult than I think if you're hitting it in the last minute of the game where everybody's sprinting, you're hitting the pass on the move. Because it's easy, you said, we were talking before, right? It's easy to us. We're sitting in front of the cameras, in front of the screens, like, oh, this is easy, right?
You've got a cup of tea, you've got a little bit of a biscuit in front of you. You go, oh, this is easy, that little pass.
Is it more difficult, actually, than... Because you've been there.
Yeah, do you know what it is, Gab? If you fast forward 5 years of Martinelli's career, he makes that pass 9 times out of 10. It's a young player in the moment, and his options are... I'm pretty sure it was Bukayo Saka, the player that he was trying to find. Your options are, I'm going to play it 1 yard in front of him so he doesn't have to take a touch and he can run onto it. In hindsight, he should have played it to his feet. He should have played it to Saka's feet and then Saka can take it in his stride and finish it. The fact that he tried to play it 1 yard in front of him, he overhit it by a couple. And that's when Alisson come off his line and just about done enough to get rid. So it's a rookie mistake from a young player, but I wouldn't beat him up because experience tells me he'll make the right choice in a few years' time.
You think it was that it was a choice that he made rather than mishitting it?
I wasn't a miss it, yeah. He see what you got to try and think of, and listen, a really funny story. I've got a guy who I talk with over in Ireland, and we play sort of vets football, and I'm in his phone as Einstein. So whenever I call him, Einstein pops up on his phone. It's a running joke because we had a few beers, shall we say, till about 4 a.m, and I was trying to explain to him, which is really difficult to try and explain. And if I'm a midfield player, and let's just say I'm playing with Darwin Nunez, and I get the ball in midfield, I've got all the biomechanics of what I see. So my brain's telling me, Darwin Nunez is in, my eyes see it, it goes down to my body, down to my core, down to my right foot. Then I've got to judge the 32.5-yard pass into Darwin Nunez. And by the way, he's running at 17.5 miles an hour, and I've got to put that on a dime, right? It's impossible to explain. And footballers never know how they do it. So you just do it on reflexes, you do it on instinct, and you do it through experience.
Well, it's interesting here because you
so the Einstein bit, how do footballers do that mathematics? How do I do a 32.5-yard pass to a guy that's running at 17.5?
Brain that does that.
Yeah, but we can't do the maths in our brain, but somehow we do because we find the passes.
Well, and that's really interesting. And I think the difference is what you lose is the ability to do it, not the decision. So if you play now, you can probably see things when you say this is the right decision. I don't know if I can do it because I retired 10 years ago.
Yeah, but all of it comes into the equation. So what you would say to Martinelli, next time you play that pass, if you're in that same scenario, you can't overhit the pass.
Right? So he's got more data in his brain.
Because it brings Alisson to the game. What you can do is you can slightly underhit the pass. Because if you underhit the pass, it's still going to get to Saka.
All right, a couple more things. Just on Arsenal, is Arteta sitting there kicking himself, saying I could have done something differently in the second half?
No, I don't think so, Gab. I think it was the emotion. I think it was the wave. I think everything that he saw coming when he called Anfield a jungle, and there's a reason why Arsenal haven't won there in a long time. It's a reason why I think take COVID out the scenario for Liverpool. They're not unbeaten, but they've lost like 1 or 2 games in about 5 years at Anfield. I stand by. I think it's the hardest place to go and get a win, Anfield.
And that's why you said Arsenal have got a point at Anfield. And this is a 0.1 rather than 2 points lost from Arsenal's
I think so, yes. Because it's still in Arsenal hands now, the title. It's in City's and it's in Arsenal's.
Yeah, 6 points. 6 points, City have a game in hand, and there's the head-to-head. Yeah. I think that's what it boils down to.
So the narrative, everyone's going, it's back in City's hands. It's not, it's in Arsenal's hands as well.
50-50. Well, with the difference that Arsenal can take a draw in the head-to-head.
That's what I mean.
City can't. So if you go percentages, you might even say it's a little more Arsenal's way. I'll answer 2 things which could be concerns from 2 guys who've been some of Liverpool's greatest performance in recent years. Salah obviously scores.
Yeah.
and then he misses a penalty. He also took it in a way, his body was angled in such a way that, like, unless he decides to shock everybody and take it with his other foot, like,
there's only one place with the angle he was putting that. I think Bournemouth come into his head when he missed one a week or two earlier.
Is this a concern? Is this a thing?
It's a concern. It's a thing. And then someone said to me yesterday, would you take him off pens? Absolutely not, because you've got to get back on the horse at some point. Right. You know, leave him on pens, he'll score the next one. I think probably what happened was there, again, in the footballer's psyche, he's thinking Bournemouth, he's thinking I skied it, I missed it. What I need to do now against Ramsdale is I need to be really precise. And he was trying to be too precise into that bottom left-hand corner.
Now, I asked you about defending. We had a whole conversation off air about Ben White on
nearly
Firmino.
Come to blows, I think. We were close.
We disagree on that one. Leave it at that. We can't get into it.
No, let's have it.
For time restrictions. But I want to ask you about Virgil van Dijk.
Yes.
Because obviously, certainly his screw up on the first goal.
I think both goals.
Is this a concern?
Massive. I think there's a reason why Liverpool have been linked with Evan Ndika at Eintracht, who's on a free transfer, who's a really good centre-back. I thought Konate was a monster. I thought he was amazing yesterday. I thought easily for Liverpool was man of the match. But Van Dijk was guilty. Trent got pulled out of position for the first goal, and they sort of swapped over Konate and Trent, but that's not the end of the world. That can happen. But everything that you've been
What are
taught,
you seeing with Van Dijk?
Well, he doesn't spot Gabriel Jesus. He doesn't spot him. You know, in on a basic level, when you see the cross come in the box, your first thought is, right, I'm in a position, I need to get touch tight. Because if he's touch tight on Jesus might still win the header, but then he can't get the power and accuracy, so you're putting him off because of the bodily contact. The fact that he's ball watching for an experienced international defender.
So you're seeing mental errors here. You're not seeing physical, or you're not saying Van Dijk is
physically, I always
whatever.
think he can do more. Because I think he plays the game at his own speed, and he's very casual. So physically, I think you can do more.
But that's never been an issue before.
Never before. Right. Maybe.
So you're seeing mental mistakes.
Maybe after the ACL, maybe he needs a summer off and maybe needs to reset. Right. But the basic level of defending to spot Jesus, honestly, Gab, that's under 15, 16 stuff.
Right.
You get the flight of the ball. Space has never scored a goal. So don't stand in space. Go and get touch tight on Jesus, and Jesus cannot score. And then he wiped Jesus out on the far touchline and got a yellow card because his head's come off. Total frustration. So I think Jurgen Klopp's got to have the conversation, I think, with Van Dijk in the summer. He's got to look in his eyes and he's got to say to him, are you up for this next season? Because if you're not, I'll bring in competition.
So the other thing which struck me was we talked about how good Liverpool were after the break and sort of really after Salah's goal to make it 2-1. He didn't actually make any changes until the hour mark. And interestingly, he started Curtis Jones, who's obviously been up and down for kind of like the last 2 years, and Diogo Jota sort of...
He loves his attitude. Well, loves his attitude.
I like the idea, play Salah and Gakpo maybe a little closer together, Jota a little in behind. That's fine. But then when he makes the changes, the guys who come on are Thiago and Darwin Núñez.
Yeah.
If you said to me in the summer that in a key game at Arsenal, these two guys will be coming off the bench.
Well, fitness plays a part. And I read a report that Darwin Núñez has looked a little bit off in terms of being in the red zone and not as sharp as he should be. I thought Klopp should have started with him because I looked at Ben White and I thought Darwin Núñez, Ben White, he could.
Well, it's also when they got a guy who's keeping him out of the lineup is Cody Gakpo.
Yeah, but
it's not like...
Yeah, but Gakpo played through the middle. Sorry, Firmino played through the middle and they were interchanging with
I'm talking about Núñez now.
Yeah.
I'm saying, so the choice is Núñez or Gakpo. The choice is you play Núñez and Salah, or you play Salah and Gakpo.
But I understood the changes.
Because
Liverpool were... I wouldn't say...
No, I'm not someone I'm asking. I'm asking, Thiago and Núñez do not start this game.
Yes, but they've not been fit.
Do you think it's purely down to fitness?
Well, Thiago's first game back.
You can only give him a half hour.
Well, yeah, I mean, can you start Thiago against Arsenal from minute one when he's been out for a month and a half? No chance.
Does he have 45 minutes?
Well, he did.
Well, he came on half an hour. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I get that point. It was interesting to me though that when I cycle back to when
if everyone's fit, everyone's fully fit, Darwin Núñez starts and Thiago starts. But the context is they haven't been fit.
Right. And this brings me to the point I was trying to make, is Thiago arrived, it wasn't an enormous fee, I think it was 20-odd million, right? It was a big contract, older player, horrendous fitness record.
Yeah.
And I was always on the fence about, did this make sense? Did you get him only for certain games? And for me, the jury is still out. And I think
that's fair. Because I think we're not judging Thiago on his level of ability. Guy's absolutely world class.
It's his ability to be available
and to shut down. Because we're comparing. I think when you look at the job that Gini Van Alden done, who was a very, very underrated player in terms of everything, goal scoring, energy,
right.
Close people down, set the tone. That's not Thiago's game. So they're two completely different players.
I think the mindset at the time was, look, we'll be against 80% of teams, we don't need Thiago. So even if he has had these injury issues when we signed him, and we know when he's older, he's going to cost us a lot of money, that's fine. Well, we need him for those big games against, Manchester City, Chelsea at the time, Bayern, Champions, whoever we play, right?
Yeah.
Those are the big ones that we need him for, where he gives us that ability to unlock teams that sit and park the bus. But I think it's interesting that you invest so much into somebody in spot duty, and it almost worked. I mean, you could argue it has worked, right? They reached Champions League finals. They won the league. But
when they signed him, I thought, what a player, and I still think what a player. But he can't shut down like Gini Van Alden, and he can't shut down like prime Fabinho and Henderson. It's not his game. He's a controller. And when Liverpool over the last 5 years have been playing, he's only been there 2 or 3 years. Every team more or less in the Premier League, apart from 1 or 2, have always sat off Liverpool. That's when he comes into his game. It's not when teams are counter-pressing him and running off the back of him because he's slow. I was a slow player, but Thiago is incredibly slow. But what he does with his picture and his passing, he should be opening teams up left, right and centre.
Yeah, and in the end, when he opens teams up, obviously that's a goal. It's a low-scoring game. I guess it makes sense. I don't know. To me, he remains one of the more interesting signings that Liverpool have made in recent years.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.